So, welcome students, welcome back to the class, virtual class. And today's topic is SWOT analysis for dairy industry. You know, we have a very vast dairy industry, which includes different kinds of stakeholders. And there are enormous opportunities in the Indian dairy industry. But what is required is that we should have a proper SWOT type of analysis so that we can know what is our strength, what is the weaknesses, what are the opportunities and threats there. So SWOT analysis is nothing. It is an analysis that gives an idea about the strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And here it is dairy industry, so it relates to the dairy industry. So SWOT stands for, where we say S stands for strength, S implies strength, W indicates weaknesses, O stands for opportunity, and T stands for threat. So it is the initial of those four words, and that creates SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is the analysis of organizations or companies' strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. And this is very important. This is very, very much important that we should know the strength, the weakness, the opportunities and threats which are lying there, which affect the performance, which affect the operations of any industry, any organization. So when we say SWOT, then SWOT, first two initial words, strength and weaknesses, these lies within the organization. So it is, these two words are internal factors. These indicate the internal factors that affect the industry. And opportunity and threats are the external factors. SWOT analysis helps in identifying and understanding the internal and external factors faced by an organization. So we have already discussed about this in very detail, that there are micro environment, there are macro environment, there are factors which affect the organization from the outside, and then there are factors which are within the control of organization, which is internal factors. And SWOT analysis is the analysis of all those kinds of factors which affect from the outside of the organization and which affect from within the organization, inside of the organization. And strength and weaknesses are the internal factors, and opportunities and threats are the external factors. SWOT analysis is helpful in deciding about the firm's resources and capabilities. When we go for any organized business, when we have an industry, it requires resources, and then there are a lot of competition going on. So when we say an industry, then we consider all the factors as a whole, all factors that affect the industry, whether it is internal or external. And then organizations has to face competition. So we should have to take a holistic approach. We should consider all the factors, all those factors which are our strength, which are the weaknesses, which impose weaknesses, and then the threats and the opportunities. So when we go for SWOT analysis, then we analyze the given resources. We analyze the given resources, which are our strength. We analyze the weaknesses in which we are lacking, in which the industry is lacking. Here it is dairy industry, so where the industry is lacking. And then the opportunities which are there, which can be harnessed, which can be potentially exploited to earn a handsome profit, to run it as a remunerative business, to harness the potential, economic potential of this industry. And threats are always there. So we will have to overcome the threats. We will have to ward off the threats and convert the opportunities as a remunerative and profitable venture. So SWOT analysis is helpful in deciding about the firm's resources and capabilities in accordance with the competitive environment in which the industries are running. And it is therefore important It is therefore important to identify all these opportunities and says to make a strategic plan, a plan which helps us in obtaining, which helps us in accomplishing the goals of the organization. It is a dynamic process. You know, the entire dairy industry is changing day by day. So it is a dynamic process. Opportunities, threats, and strengths and weaknesses are changing every day, and we have to see it in a holistic manner at a regular interval so that we know how we can overcome our weaknesses, how we can capitalize our strengths, how we can harness the benefits of the opportunities, and how we can eliminate the threats. Importance and use of SWOT analysis. So, as I told you, SWOT analysis is very useful. It helps us in understanding, identifying the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So it provides information on an organization's strength, weakness after carrying out a comprehensive analysis of its resources and capabilities. We require resources, we require capabilities, faculties to process the materials, raw materials into the outputs, to convert the raw materials into the output, to undertake the marketing opportunities, to undertake the value addition activities. For every activity we require resources and we require requisite capabilities, and it helps us in identifying, it helps us in understanding our resources, our capabilities, and the background of those resources and capabilities. What are our strengths and weaknesses? It also provides a list of threats and opportunities after an analysis of its environment. So the entire scenario is dynamic. The world is changing. There are different kinds of threats. New markets are emerging, globalization, and then emerging demand for different kinds of products, new designs. So there are opportunities. So we will have to consider all those threats. We have to identify all those opportunities. We will have to go emphatically to eliminate the threats, and we will have to make endeavors to convert those opportunities into a remunerative flow, cash flow, a stream of cash flow. So it is very important. Then the future strategy should be built to capitalize the strength for harnessing the opportunities by addressing threats and overcoming weaknesses. So this is the importance. Then how do we go for preparing a SWOT matrix? So there are certain steps. There is a guideline we should follow. We should keep in our mind the guidelines, which are indicative, which give directions how to prepare a SWOT analysis matrix. So first is to prepare opportunity and threat matrices. So when we go for preparing a SWOT analysis, undertake SWOT kind of analysis, then we consider opportunities and we consider threats. So we prepare the opportunity and threat, we place them in a matrix form. So we have a opportunity and threat matrices, which helps in assessment of likelihood, probability, and impact of such factors on the organization. So why do we do this? We do this because we want to understand how these opportunities and threats can affect the working of the environment. How these opportunities and threats can affect the potentials of the organization. So it helps in identifying, it helps in understanding those opportunities and threats, and we prepare a matrix of those opportunities and threats. We put them in a matrix form, and then we go for making analysis. A scoring system may be used to assign to importance to the factors. So it is possible that we can assign scores to different kinds of opportunities and threats. Let us say we give 5 to the opportunity or threat which is most important, and therefore which is less than the 5, and so on. We can rank them. We can assign a score from 1 to 5 on the scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Different kinds of scales can be applied. Different kinds of score can be assigned to highlight the importance of the factor, certain factor. So it is possible. Then the factors which has highest probability of occurrence. Probability of occurrence means chances of occurrence. How a factor is going to occur in a year or in a coming time. What would be the probability? Probability varies between 0 to 1, you know. So what is the probability? And we see the factor which has 1 means which has the highest probability, which can occur every year, every time. So we can put a score accordingly. And the factors which have highest probability or high probability of occurrence and likely impact, which is going to impact the organization in a regularly, and which can create high impact. So the factors which have high probability of occurrence and high impact need close attention, need immediate attention. We will have to consider those factors, and then make a plan accordingly. We will have to make a strategy accordingly. So those factors should be given the top priority while going for making a strategic plan. Then in the same manner, the strengths and weaknesses should be assessed by using a scoring approach. Here also we can assign scores to identify the factors according to their significance. They can be measured, they can be minor, they can be minor. So there are some factors which are there, but that impact, their effect is neutral. They are not going either to adversely affect or positively impact. So those are neutral factors. Then there are minor factors which have impact, but very insignificant impact. And then there are major factors. Suppose there is a drastic change in the price policy, so it will affect the entire dairy industry. Suppose there is the restrictions on import is lifted, then it will affect the industry. So this kind of measure, this type of drastic changes which has major impact, and then there are minor impact. So major, minor, and neutral impact, we have to identify, we have to classify the factors according to them, and the factors which has major importance should be accorded highest priority while we are going for making a strategic plan. And then level of importance. So which factor is most, which has high importance, which has medium importance, and which has low importance. Then when we go for taking a SWOT analysis, preparing a SWOT matrix, then we need certain information. And to elicit information, we should involve people who have experience and knowledge in the analysis to identify the factors. So we should try to involve the people who have sufficient knowledge, who are experienced, who can give us input, who can give us feedback, who have understanding, and who knows that what kind of consequences these factors can lead to. So based on their information, based on the information obtained from them, we should go for preparing a SWOT matrix. The outcome of the analysis is the matrix. As I told you, it is written here, SWOT matrix. So the outcome of the SWOT analysis is the SWOT matrix, where we have the opportunities, threat, and weaknesses all in a matrix form. Okay, so the outcome of the analysis is the matrix that presents the most important strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat for the organization. And there are numerous factors which affect the industry, which affect the organization. So we should try to identify and analyze those factors which are important, which are critical, which bears higher significance, so that we should have a workable list. We should have a workable list of SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat to work upon. Okay, so major issues can be taken into account when subsequently drawing upon a strategic plan for an organization. This is very important. We should identify some of the major issues, because we can't handle all the issues at a time. We don't have that much resources, we don't have that much capabilities. So by identifying some of the critical issues, some of them we can certainly make a dent, we can certainly make an improvement. So we should try to identify those major issues and put them in a matrix form for the benefit of the organization, for making a strategic plan for the organization. It is possible to represent the analysis in a performance importance matrix. So we can prepare on one axis, we can take performance, on the one axis we can take importance, and then we can put the various factors in different boxes based on their importance in terms of performance and importance, and it is called performance and importance matrix. And SWOT analysis is based on the hard facts. It requires the hard facts, feedbacks, and it requires exhaustive information, and that is why it is time consuming and costly together. Then the SWOT matrix also has certain drawbacks. Although it is important, it has very important effect on the strategic planning, because it provides base for preparing a strategic planning, but it has certain drawbacks also. And it is the length of the list of factors that have to be taken into account in the analysis. When we go for making SWOT analysis for an industry, you know the industry is very vast. There are different kinds of activities. There are n number of stakeholders, n number of activities, and considering all those, so it gives a very exhaustive, it becomes very exhaustive. It gives a very exhaustive list of factors, which is very difficult to handle. So this is one of the drawbacks. And lack of priorities of factors. So when we go for collecting information about the strengths, weaknesses, everything, so sometimes it's become very subjective type of thing, based on the experiences of the people. They say, no, this is important, other will say this is important. So this is another factor, that it is very difficult to prioritize those factors, although we can use some scores as we have discussed, and based on that we can prioritize those factors. So no suggestions for solving disagreements. We get the list, we get the list of opportunities, we get the list of threats, we know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, but then there is no suggestions for solving the disagreements. Some people will say while while during discussion that no, this factor what I am saying is the most important. Other will say no, this is very important. Based on their marketing, people will say no, marketing is a challenge. Production will say production is a challenge. Production is very important. Production should be given importance. So there is no mechanism to solve these disagreements. We will have to apply our own understanding and thoughts, and based on the scores we can. But in the process of preparation of analysis, preparation of the SWOT matrices, it becomes difficult to handle such kind of things. There are no obligation to verify statements or aspects based on the data of the analysis. So we have no, it is not always required to verify all those factors, because we have all important factors, knowledgeable persons, experienced persons. So we mostly rely on that, because if we go for analyzing all those subjectively, then it requires another time and money, lot of money. So sometimes we forego all those things. Then analysis only at a single level. When we go for making a SWOT analysis, so it covers the aspects, the factors which are available, which are existing up to that time. So it is, but as we discussed, that it is a dynamic process. The scenario is changing always. So this is one of the factors that we need to take it at regular intervals, whereas it is done at a single point of time. So this makes its credibility challenged. Then over subjectivity in generation of factors, because it is the experience on which we say that this is important, this is important, this is going to happen in future. So all these are very subjective, and sometimes ambiguous and vague words and phrases are utilized, and that makes it little unacceptable. Then a strength of dairy industry. You know, our dairy industry is growing. It is growing very fast. India is the leader in milk production. We are the uh, leader in milk production. We are the highest milk producing country. According to the data in 1988, 2018-19, the milk production of the country was 187.7 million tons, and the per capita availability was 394 grams per person per day. So our milk production is increasing. The processing capacity is increasing. We are increasing purchasing power of the consumer. The purchasing power of the consumer is also increasing, which ultimately reflects in the demand. Demand is also increasing. Then we have different kinds of latest transportation facilities, which has made it possible to collect the milk from the production center to the processing center. So improved transportation facilities are there. Increased availability of indigenous manufactured equipment. So we have now indigenous manufacturers, domestic manufacturers who are ready to supply different kinds of machines and equipment which is required for the dairy industry. A large number of dairy plants in the country are coming up already there, and new factories are coming. Very vast pool of highly trained and qualified manpower available in the industry. And country's vast natural resources offer immense potential for growth and development of the dairy. There is continuous and rapid urbanization. The food habits are changing. The demand for milk and milk products are growing. Milk production is growing, so there is no dearth of raw material. The equipment and machines are available, which helps in converting the raw material into the processed products. We have the talented technologists, technocrats, other types of human resources are there. So these are the strength of this industry. Then weaknesses are lack of appropriate technologies for tropical climatic conditions. So milk is a highly perishable commodity. Our country's environment is tropical, climate is tropical. Milk become sour immediately if we don't go for processing. We can't keep milk in its natural condition, in raw condition for a longer period. We need some types of processing or cooling or something there. So this is the weakness. Then erratic power supply. Still, the power supply, although it has now become more or less stable, there is adequate power supply now. But despite in rural areas, the power supply is erratic. That helps because of that, we fail to maintain the proper cold chain. So this is another factor, and lack of awareness of clean milk production. Still, our milk production of milk uh, is failing to maintain the norms of clean milk production. Different kinds of what's the different kinds of impurities, and then microorganisms get mixed in the milk because of unhealthy milking practices and rearing practices. So it is one of the challenges. Seasonal fluctuations in milk and milk production pattern is there. Regional imbalances of milk supply. You know, there are regions which has adequate milk supply, and then there are regions where the milk supply is low. We have this still nondescript type of cattle, and we need to take care of these factors to maintain a balance, to remove the regional imbalance in milk supply. And species-wise variation in milk quality received by dairy plants. So milk of different species are different, and there is a lot of variations in that. Poor productivity of cattle and arable land, you know, it is very much known to everyone. So and then scarce capital for investment in the dairy development programs on a priority basis. Our dairy producers are small and marginal farmers, even landless, that don't have sufficient capital to invest in the dairy sector in the animal husbandry. Although government is now providing according its highest priority, there are different kinds of schemes, there are different kinds of subsidies which are given. And we have discussed about it in entrepreneurship classes, and we will again discuss. So the things are improving, but still our producers are small, marginals, landless persons who do not have adequate investment capacity, adequate capital, and this is one of the factors. Then absence of proper data records, which is essential for preparing development programs. Still, our producers do not maintain the farm records, so we lack inadequate data, which is required to prepare with the development programs in an objective manner, and this is one of the factors. And dairy development programs have not been fully implemented as per the need of the region in different climatic regions. You know, it is very much obvious there are programs, but there is still a huge gap between the in its implementation on the ground. Lack of marketing revenue for the dairy producers. Still, the market linkage is very weak. Still, more than 50% of the produced milk is in the hands of informal milk markets, informal players. Organized sector is hardly handling 36%, 35 to 36% of milks produced. Then we do not have softwares for preparing the needed dairy schemes projects, so it is prepared manually, and it is difficult for the common people to go for preparing a sophisticated dairy schemes and projects. So we require software support so that it can be prepared and submitted. The lack of infrastructure for offering dairy business management programs to train dairy developers, our infrastructure are still very weak. So these are the weaknesses of this dairy sector. And then opportunities, you are very much aware that there are great opportunities, enormous opportunities. The scenario has changed, the globalization has come up. So greatly improved export potential for milk products of Western as well as traditional aspects. We can go for exporting our milk products by producing the conforming quality products, maintaining the standards and quality of the products. Then expanding market for traditional dairy products. The market for traditional dairy products is expanding day by day. Sweets and different kinds of products are in demand. Increasing demand for fluid milk as well as value-added products. We still consume the liquid milk, so there is a great demand for the fluid milk itself, and then the value-added products like paneer and sweets, you know. So their demand is increasing. Byproduct utilization for import substitution. We have India is exporting casein, so the casein is a byproduct. So this kind of products, market for this kind of products is also increasing. Then employment generation, you know, dairy industry provides employment to a number of persons. It is so it has a great importance in employment generation. Growing demand for milk and milk products, we have already discussed. Liberalized policies of dairy sector. In dairy sector, policy has been liberalized, MMPO has been abolished, you know. So number of changes and number of liberalization are introduced in this dairy sector. Also availability of large resources of unconventional feeds and fodders. So now feeding pattern is also changing for the animals. Different kinds of unconventional feeds and fodders are being introduced. Molasses and different kinds of products are being utilized in preparing hay and other fodders. Availability of diverse germ plant with unique features like heat tolerance, disease. So India has a diverse species of cattle, and particularly in case of cattle, which has heat tolerance, which has the characteristics of disease resistance, which can be extracted and exploited, incorporated in other breeds to reduce the cost of health and make them tolerant to the environment and climatic condition of the region. Sorry. And then the other opportunities are availability of animal production technologies for faster development and effective implementation. Now new technologies are coming up, which are being applied, which are being adopted by the farms, by the processors, and small scale production has become possible. Integrated structure of marketing for milk and milk products are there. Different kinds of models are utilized. You know, cooperative model, you know, contract farming in milk production has come up. So different kinds of models are evolving. Then integrated structure of livestock marketing through regulated markets. You are very much aware of this. Improved collection of data on contracts basis through agencies. Now collection of data is outsourced, and different kinds of data are available to analyze, to make plans. Market information intelligence system for milk and products are, so scientifically milk markets are being now monitored and observed, and data are collected which are being utilized for making the marketing plan in the future. Development of software for project formulation for dairy enterprise efforts are being made, and new type of softwares are coming up to for the formulation of dairy enterprises. Then threats, introduction of foreign products in Indian market. So if we are not going to change ourselves, then the markets from different corners of the world are coming up in the country itself. Competition increasing. So this is one of the factors which is increasing the competition, which is threat. We will have to become an efficient producer. We will have to produce the quality products so that we can exist, we can stand in the market. Then increasing chemical contamination and different kinds of adulteration in the milks we are listening every time. Then due to the excess use of chemicals, agrochemicals in soil, which is coming from the water as a residue in the body of the animals and passes and then comes in the milk itself. So it is another threat. Poor microbiological quality of milk due to unhygienic milk production. Sometimes it gets contaminated, it gets infected. So this is another problem, another challenge. Export of quality feed ingredients, particularly cakes, under the levelization policy. Different types of cattle feeds are coming from outside, which is hampering the indigenous production, which is making threat for our indigenous producers. Then deficiency of molasses are being utilized in the cattle feed, and there is a deficiency of molasses. This is another challenge. Excessive grazing pressure on marginal and small community. The arable land are shrinking, our pasture lands are shrinking, they are using for alternative purposes. So it is another challenge that we have very less land which is available for the pasture, for the grazing of the animal. Then extinction of the indigenous breeds. Our indigenous breeds has different qualities, different traits like heat tolerance, disease resistance, and these breeds are now at the verge of extinction. This is another area of worry, which and their genes can be incorporated in the cross-breeding program to improve to introduce the certain qualities, desirable qualities in those breeds. So this is another threat. The liberalization of dairy industry is likely to be exploited by multinationals. And here we should have very cautious, we should have very competitive, we should have very quality concerns so that we can stand in front of the multinational company. We can produce the products which are of a standard of the global standards and which has high demand in the market. So these are the threats. So we have discussed about the SWOT analysis of the dairy industry today. And the time is over, time is running off. So thank you very much. Thank you. Again at 9 tomorrow we will take a class. So be ready please at the scheduled time at 9 a.m. I will send the link. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. एक दिन डिस्कस भी करेंगे, टाइम रखेंगे, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप पर भी डिस्कस करेंगे. हाँ, कल अगर मौका मिला तो कल, नहीं तो परसों.
Yes, sir.
So please आप लोग तैयारी करो. मैं उनको कह दूंगा, बासा सर को भेज दूंगा और स्टार्ट का और इसका जो है क्लास वो आप शुरू कर देंगे.
Yes.
उनका मैं लिंक ऐड करवा देता हूँ.